Shooting USA is brought to you by SnapSafe and the full line of Treklite lockboxes. Affordable security for home or travel. Get 15% off with code SUSA15 at snapsafe.com.
At the beginning of World War II, the United States saw the obvious advantage in arming its troops with a small, full-auto, pistol-caliber firearm that could be mass-produced cheaply and easily. They named it the M3 submachine gun. But for a generation of young men more accustomed to working on cars than fighting the Nazis, it looked like something very different. The M3 grease gun is now one of history's guns. History remembered and sponsored by the Civilian Marksmanship Program. There is nothing quite like the grease gun. It's cheap, crude, and ugly, but it works. Those 45 ACP rounds could knock an enemy soldier backward at close range. The grease gun was a new kind of weapon for American troops when it went into production in 1943. It replaced the legendary Thompson, the military standard since 1928, but considered too big, too heavy, too expensive, and too hard to make for the New World War. So the Army and General Motors came up with a much smaller and simpler design, mostly made of stamped and welded sheet metal. The M3 fires from an open bolt, slower than most submachine guns, about 400 rounds a minute. And that was on purpose, to save ammunition and to make the grease gun easier for green recruits to shoot.
Many of them had not ever handled a machine gun, most likely, or maybe not even a gun at all. So the simplicity of operation really helped the GIs be comfortable with it and be competent with it. You know, like the safety and the simple cocking lever. That's all there was to this gun. You opened your cover, stuck a magazine in it, and you started shooting.
A General Motors headlight factory in Indiana built more than 600,000 M3 grease guns by the end of the war.
It was made very cheaply. The only machine pieces are the bolt and the barrel. Everything else was stamped and welded and stuff, and it was meant to be almost a disposable gun.
The grease gun was a whole new direction compared to what had come before. Even basic features like the safety were just different.
This little sheet metal tab is the safety device. When the cover is closed, the bolt is cocked right now. This will go in front of the bolt, and if you look, the bolt will move slightly backwards as the tab gets in front of it. And once it's closed, you pull the trigger, the bolt is moved back just enough to where it's no longer on the sear, so the trigger does nothing.
The grease gun was made to loose tolerances so it wouldn't clog up with dirt in the field. Reliability at the expense of accuracy. But it does a great job at what a submachine gun is supposed to do, putting a lot of lead in the air at close range. It didn't even have a single shot option. The M3 is full auto all the time.
But it's very simple. Open bolt designs are the simplest of all machine guns, so it was cheap and easy to manufacture, and very few extra mechanical parts had to be made to make it work that way.
About 1,000 grease guns were made with a suppressed barrel, and about 1,000 more were chambered in 9mm, so spies and partisans in Europe could use captured German ammunition. The M3 didn't completely replace the Thompson until World War II was nearly over, but GM kept making grease guns through the end of the war, and Ithaca made 33,000 more in the 50s. The grease gun stayed in the Army's arsenal through Korea and Vietnam, with a few still in use as late as the Gulf War. They're hard to find in the civilian market. An M3 in shootable condition will run you around 18 grand. But if you do get a hold of one, you'll have a piece of history that stayed in the arsenal for over 60 years.
The .22 Advanced Rifle Cartridge easily outperforms all other .22 caliber cartridges in its class. producing 22 250 performance in an AR-15 platform. The 22 ARC is engineered to take full advantage of the most aerodynamic 22 caliber bullets. This means tighter groups, increased accuracy, and an exceptional shooting experience. 22 advanced rifle cartridge from Hornady.
Thanks again for tuning into the Shooting USA YouTube channel. We hope you enjoyed the content. A couple of notes. Make sure you take advantage of SUSA15 at snapsafe.com. That's our discount code that saves you 15% on anything from SnapSafe, and that gets to be some big money when you start talking about modular safes and vault doors. Also, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new content. As always, a like and a comment helps us with that algorithm.